Today, we're talking about the Studio Ghibli fake graphic designer scandal, and how a Colombian woman went viral for bragging about hand-drawing 25,000 frames for the latest Studio Ghibli film, The Boy and the Heron. And after the film's win at the Golden Globes, the Colombian mainstream media picked up her story, making her famous across the nation. That is, until the internet started looking into it, and discovered that it was all a lie, only for her to go on to double down and triple down on these lies. Until recently, when things really fell apart. But I pulled together this entire story. I even translated most of it from Spanish, just so you can see how wild of a situation this really is. But if it's your first time here, hi, I'm Austin. I make videos staying caught up with the latest internet drama and news, so if that sounds like your thing, feel free to stick around. It's been a crazy first month of 2024, and the channel has somehow gone from 40,000 subs to 80,000 subs in the past 30 days. I'm planning on February being even bigger, with a few huge announcements coming, maybe next week. Today's story was sent to me by Eleanor Evans. If you have a story you think I should cover, feel free to send it to me on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. Now, before I get into it, first, let me take a couple seconds to thank today's sponsor. Just by doing a quick search for my name online, I came across dozens of websites claiming to know a lot about me, with data brokers trying to sell personal information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else trying to target me and many others. These websites collect details like your email, home address, health records, and more, making it dangerously easy for just about anyone to find. That's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows which data brokers are selling my information, and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up leaked information online not only reduces the amount of spam I get every day, it also prevents hackers from using this data to access social media and bank accounts. Aura is easy to set up and gives you access to several critical tools, like password management, VPN, parental controls, and more, all for one affordable price. It helps to have just one or two of these apps, but with Aura, everything is always on, doing all the hard work in the background to help keep me safe, so I can focus on researching internet drama with peace of mind. If you value your privacy like I do, visit aura.com/AustinGreen or click the link below to start your free 2-week trial. Thank you to Aura for sponsoring the video. Now, let's get into the story. Let's start with some background on the situation. This is Geraldine Fernandez, a graphic designer formerly working at Tecnoglass, a company in Barranquilla, Colombia, that primarily makes architectural glass and aluminum products. Before the release of Studio Ghibli's most recent film, The Boy and the Heron, Geraldine would talk about working on it as an illustrator. In October of 2023, she was even asked to give a talk at the Sergio Arboleda University headquarters in her hometown. According to this article from El País, there she told the students that Studio Ghibli sent her a gift and a letter for the work she had done. The letter said, "Out of gratitude and for all of the things you did, for the late nights, for your hard work, because after illustrating almost 50,000, 20,000 frames, your hand looks like this." And clearly, they appreciate it very much there. On January 7th, The Boy and the Heron won a Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature Film. And following this, Geraldine posted a video on Twitter where she gets interviewed by her company and explains how she got to work at Studio Ghibli. I'll translate what she says in the video. "When I wrote my degree thesis, they told me your illustration style is very similar to the Studio Ghibli style. At no time did I imagine it would happen. I enrolled at the University of Tokyo. They called me, telling me that they approved my registration. I did all my master's degrees with a scholarship. While working on the film, Miyazaki would say, 'The Colombian should work on this frame or that frame.' On 3 occasions, I had direct contact with him. When I signed the contract, when we were 50% through the movie, and when the film was done. Every scene, everything I did in the movie, it's all handmade. There is some digital retouching, but they are very minimal or color adjustments. It's so everything has a symmetry. I had to illustrate 25,000 pages for the scene. For one to do things well, you must stay in tune with others. And that's something I like about being a part of the team and a part of this great company. And that there's an excellent community. Never in my life, at 30 years old, did I think it would result in doing production for Studio Ghibli. Not only on the most recent movie, but Hayao Miyazaki's retirement film. So it's kind of hard to believe. The next week, on January 14th, the El País article from earlier says, the newspaper El Heraldo, the most important newspaper in Barranquilla, published a note about Fernandez's supposed achievement. With the headline, the Barranquilla talent that won at the Golden Globes. The interviewee maintained that version of her contribution. I had to do over 25,000 frames. It was sheet by sheet, scene by scene, everything by hand. Some things were digital. And following this newspaper interview, many other mainstream Colombian news outlets picked up the story and ran with it, making Geraldine's name famous across the country. However, as soon as talk about her work hit social media, professional animators were quick to point out a few questionable things about her story. For one, she didn't seem to have a real portfolio on her Wix website or social media accounts. And people found that her profile on the website DeviantArt was filled with stolen work from other artists. This profile has since been taken down. On top of all this, people found her LinkedIn page, where she pretended to know Japanese by writing everything with Google Translate. On the profile, she also lied about having a master's degree from the University of Tokyo, and also claimed that she was interviewed by TV Tokyo. As skepticism about her story continued to grow, critics pointed out that a dead giveaway of Geraldine not being involved in the movie is that she doesn't even show up in the credits. The website Cartoon Brew writes this: we spoke with the film's American distributor, G Kids, which told us they have a full official credits list for the film from Studio Ghibli, and that Fernandez's name does not appear anywhere in the credits for The Boy and the Heron. At this point, memes about Geraldine's lie started to pop up online. As rumors about her story started to go viral, she was interviewed by a Spanish streamer and video game journalist named Pablo Gonzalez, who goes by the handle Kaith Sith on Twitch. During the 2-hour conversation on January 15th, Geraldine doubles and triples down on her story. Cartoon Brew writes, Fernandez reiterated time and again that everything she has said about working on the film was true, but that she couldn't offer any proof of those claims because she was bound by a confidentiality agreement. She told Gonzalez that she would ask the studio for proof of her involvement with the film, but the host seemed reluctant to believe that such evidence would be forthcoming. During the interview, Fernandez also addressed accusations of plagiarism in her portfolio, maintaining that all the artwork in it was original. The illustrations are entirely mine, she asserted. Thing is that the portfolio is very old, but those illustrations are 100% mine, she said, before backtracking and admitting that one of the images wasn't created by her. In the El País article, they quote her saying, almost the entire first part of the film, which is almost 15 minutes. I did that entire scene. In other words, literally, the Colombian opened the film, Fernandez revealed, proud and smiling. Following this, Geraldine didn't seem too confident about her explanations, and deactivated her Twitter and LinkedIn profiles, followed by her Instagram being set to private and her personal Wix website being taken down. Later the same day, the mainstream news outlets that were praising Geraldine last week started issuing retractions on their stories. One from El Tiempo is titled, The Story of Deception Regarding Colombian Participation in Hayao Miyazaki's Film, writing, on social networks, the story of Geraldine Fernandez and her alleged participation in a film by the legendary Japanese creator Hayao Miyazaki was a trend this Monday, which ended up being a hoax in which several national and international media fell, including El Tiempo. Other national media published this information, and under that premise, El Tiempo proceeded to locate her on social networks and interview her, asking for documents to support her version. She sent a 9-slide presentation containing, she said, sketches she has used during her work, several of them featuring the Studio Ghibli logo. The presentation was accompanied by videos that showed her working in her studio and even had some drawings corrected in red, presumably by Miyazaki himself. El Tiempo asked her for an explanation one by one for all the questions that were raised in the comments of the video, and on several occasions, she said that due to a confidentiality clause, she could not provide more documents about her work, but that as soon as Studio Ghibli publishes a publication about the film, there would be her name with her photograph. Finally, When the scandal broke out on social media, we asked her to give us a copy of the contract she was supposed to have signed for this job. Fernandez agreed to send it, but a few hours later, she admitted that she did not have evidence of it. The next day, on January 16th, Geraldine was interviewed by Colombia's Blue Radio. They say this in the recap on their website. In conversation with Blue Mornings with Nestor Morales, the illustrator accepted that she exaggerated in her participation in the renowned film. Likewise, she admitted that she did not make 25,000 frames as previously mentioned, but rather between 300 and 400. The illustrator also said that her name did not appear in the film's credits, according to her, because her participation was counted as part of an animation support house due to her freelance contract. They also have this to say regarding the situation. Criticism reached its peak when Tecnoglass, the company where the Colombian works, discovered that the supposed certificates written in Japanese that she attached as evidence of her participation in the film were false and actually corresponded to ceramics courses. Businessman Christian Days, her boss and director of Tecnoglass, said on Twitter, "They came to me with the story of Geraldine and her success, and I was happy for her. They showed me an interview that she had given in the international media. Too bad it was all a product of her imagination. I apologize for not investigating further before retweeting." The artist acknowledged that she made a mistake and that she will try to learn from it, but mentioned that she feels strongly attacked and is contemplating taking extreme measures. In the El País article, they write, she states that she did not want recognition, and that her story only became known because a friend, without asking for permission, told some journalists about the Barranquilla woman's participation. She says that they took it upon themselves to replicate it. They started looking for her, and she agreed to give them interviews. After the controversy unleashed, she says that she feels bad. "My cell phone doesn't stop ringing. People make fun of me and threaten me." She explains that if she could rewind time, she would handle the situation differently. "I regret everything. I would have preferred not to have told my friends, especially the one who took the audacity to spread the information." Following this, rumors about Geraldine being fired from her job at Tecnoglass started spreading online, with replies to this Reddit post linking to a video on Twitter of Geraldine supposedly explaining what happened. However, I can't find enough info about this or understand what she's saying, so I'll link the video down below if somebody in the comments wants to translate. The next day, on January 17th, it became too obvious that Geraldine never worked on the film, and so she finally posted this apology letter. I'll read this English translation from Cartoon Brew. "I alert the public, the media, my friends, and my family that I never participated in the illustration and design of the film The Boy and the Heron, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. Everything that happened was the result of a bad faith exercise that I now recognize and for which I am sorry. My love and admiration for illustration and my profession as a graphic designer led me to make comments in closed circles about working as an illustrator in some scenes. I recognize that was a mistake. The digital press contacted me, and from there, everything went viral, a situation that was far beyond my expectations and which placed me in the eye of a hurricane in front of the most important media in the country, influencers, and colleagues. I acknowledged that the situation got out of hand, and it became increasingly difficult to retract my comments, which had a negative impact on my friends, family, colleagues, bosses, coworkers, and society in general. Today, after exhaustive reflection and advice seeking, I draw on my inner strength to address you and say that it's time for the truth to come to light. That everyone deserves to know. The truth frees us. This experience would have an impact on anyone. I'm aware of this, especially when the media did not act with rigor to verify the sources, which took me by surprise. I did not have the maturity to recant and felt I had to continue with the story that I had participated in the production. I reiterate that I feel remorse and express my apologies. I appreciate the support of some internet users, bosses, friends, family, and the company to which I am linked. They have all provided moral support and strength at this time, for which I'm very grateful. I would have liked to go viral for something real, but today we wake in a country with important stories that affect the integrity and daily life of all Colombians. But these stories don't become viral. I apologize 1,000 times for everything that has happened. From now on, I will work so hard that my professional talent as a designer precedes me. I believe this is the formula to follow. Away from controversies, with loyalty, simplicity, humility, kindness, and love for my profession. Thank you all for listening. Geraldine Fernandez. After this, news outlets quickly started reporting on the admission. And the next day, on January 19th, El Tiempo shares this regarding Geraldine's lawyer. Recently, the defense of the Barranquilla woman did not rule out taking legal action for the use of the designer's image after the scandal. In an interview with Caracol Radio, Melina Escorcia, the designer's lawyer, indicated that the comments arising from the controversy have affected the mental and emotional health of her client. According to the lawyer, the lawsuit they are contemplating would be related to the profit that several companies could have generated in recent days using Fernandez's image. Photos of her have been used commercially in national and international companies. We are looking at the possibility of taking legal action against them. They are using her name and her image to obtain clients, and we all know that this is a commercial practice that is prohibited. It is illegal. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if Geraldine really has a case against anybody. But I don't think she can just sue news outlets for reporting on her lies. Regardless, that's where things stand with this absolutely wild story of how a Colombian woman went viral for bragging about hand-drawing 25,000 frames of The Boy and the Heron, which came with overnight nationwide fame that was quickly ripped away after critics noticed numerous flaws in her story. After which, she continued to double and triple down on her lies until finally posting a public apology admitting to everything. But now that you have pretty much all the details about this situation, I need to know, what do you think about everything? Were you already following this story from Spanish social media? Why did Geraldine try to lie about working on this movie in such an obvious way? And do you think that apology was good enough to make up for continually doubling and tripling down on her lies? Let me know all that and anything I missed down in the comments. If you want to stay caught up with even more internet drama and news, please consider subscribing and check out any of my recent videos. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.